Hello, Loreheads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
And I'm Mark.
Today we are talking about the Cryophoenix Anivia, who was released July 10th, 2009.
Very early on.
Yeah.
She's real old.
Got a lot of old champions in a row. Maybe that's why their lore is so short and bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that was harsh. It's not bad. It's lackluster.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we are going to learn very little fact about Anivia because not only is she an old champion, but she is also very old in the lore of League of Legends. She is a demigod who has existed for a very, very long time. And there's not a lot of solid fact known about her, just a bunch of legends that have been passed down through the ages.
Oh, this sounds familiar.
Hey, who fucking called it? Who fucking called it? It is so apropos that Anivia is right after Amumu because
Right.
man, this shit's gonna get old quick.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe you know what? Maybe this is the exception that proves the rule, and the rest will be great. Right? Who knows?
That's true. I mean, we do have some exciting ones coming up, so I think both Annie and Ash are soon, and I know they've got a lot of lore around them, so that's exciting.
yeah.
But in the meantime, so Anivia is a demigod. She basically rules over the Freljord, or not rules over, but that's her dominion, basically. She keeps it nice and chilled there and kind of protects the inhabitants. She was there before humans even existed there. When the first humans came, she protected them. They couldn't really handle the cold, so she led them to, valleys and places where they could keep a little warmer, and basically tried to help them grow into good and contributing members of the world. Unfortunately, over time, infighting began between the clans there, which kind of invited invaders from outside of Freljord to come and, do what invaders do and just take their shit. There are a few legends around such people. One of the legends is about, a mad king who came and decided to try and take over Anivia's dominion, so she just fucking froze him and his entire army just 'cause.
Yes, it snowed for 100 years and a day.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that little line. That's a neat little detail.
I didn't. It just felt like something they thought would sound cool.
It did. Well, they were
did.
right.
I mean, worked on me.
Now, it's said that as long as the Freljord exists, Anivia cannot die. When she dies, she will be reborn again, eventually.
Unless her passive is down.
Yeah.
I mean, which maybe in game canon is, that means Freljord's gone. Every time her passive is down, Freljord has disappeared.
Oh, no.
But it's also said that when she does revive, it's usually a harbinger of a new era, and she's usually reviving to face off against some giant threat. So while seeing her as, on the one hand, like, oh, yay, Anivia's here to protect us, it's also sometimes like, oh, shit, what's about to happen? And she recently, it's said, appeared to the War Mother Ash, which has got everybody thinking, oh, shit, now what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It is also said that, and this was kind of intriguing to me, because it says she's very strong. When she's upset, she can cleave mountains in half. It said that she once faced off against a herd of Bale Striders, but since she knew that she wouldn't be able to defeat them, she just dived into the ice and entombed them instead, which got me real curious. If she can cleave mountains in half, what's the deal with Bale Striders? So I did look into Bale Striders a little bit to figure out why the hell they were so strong.
Yeah, I was familiar with these because they are Legends of Runeterra cards. That's the first I'd ever encountered them.
I never heard of them.
Apparently, actually, the turrets in the Howling Abyss are actually statues of Bale Striders.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, now I really got to look at them.
They're not. I think the pictures are probably better represent. They're a depiction of the Bale Strider.
Yeah.
You don't get a great idea from them, but they're supposed to be kind of these giant giraffe like style creatures, like huge long legs, long neck, with a big cyclopic blue eye in the middle, and a mane that's kind of made from what looks like human appendages, like arms.
Are they horrifying? Because the visual in my head... Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently they used to be not horrifying, but have been corrupted over time.
Oh, of course. Things just get corrupted in Runeterra, as we know.
Yeah. It's a shitty place to live in general, but the Freljord is especially shitty.
It's cold there.
It's cold. You got Bale Striders. Yeah.
Yeah, aside from her bio, Anivia is listed to have 2 short stories in the universe page. She's in one of them for about a paragraph. And that's it.
And then the other short story, just not even in it.
No, they mentioned something called True Ice, which in her bio they say she created True Ice. I already forget what that was.
Yeah, so True Ice is kind of, it's supposed to be her big gift to Freljordians and the Avarosans and the people who live in the Freljord, but it is magical ice, which is a source of great magical power. It never melts, according to Anivia's bio. It's one of the several contradictions that are in the orange short story that she's in, but we'll get to those in a minute. It never melts, and is supposed to kind of give great power to anyone who can wield it, because people who try to wield it who aren't worthy just kind of go ahead and die.
Oh.
Is it that? I thought it was specifically that it gives off a shit ton of cold, but if you're iceborn specifically, you can wield true ice without it affecting you.
Oh.
That's how what I thought it was. Like Ash, Sejuani, and they have like weapons that are made of true ice. And even just having a chip of it like forged in is like it's a power core almost for a weapon and turns into something other.
Yeah. And even them too, like they kind of have to work up to it. Like I know Ash couldn't wield true ice for a while until kind of put into one of those like life-threatening situations where she just happened to find a true ice weapon near her and was like, all right, now I can wield it.
Interesting.
So there's like a certain element of having to be worthy enough and be an iceborn.
That's interesting because I assume that's from the War Mother comic.
Yeah.
See, I didn't read it. I skimmed a little bit because there was like no Anivia in it. And whereas the Zed and Shen comic had a Kali in it, this one's like, there is a panel where there's a picture of Anivia and I wasn't even sure if it was literally her or just
they mentioned the old gods.
yeah
That was her role in that story.
My reading of the Iceborn and True Ice was just that almost like a hereditary thing where you've got these Iceborn from way back at the start with the original War of the Three Sisters, and now they're just some descendants that you'll find every now and then. But the War Mother thing is probably more accurate. Like you said, you gotta prove yourself worthy or what the fuck ever,
I'm curious. I'm going to look this up real quick, too. Yeah, so, because I thought I remembered that Trundle also has a true ice weapon.
That's true. Yeah, his club, as it is now, yeah.
Yeah, that was the Legend of the Frozen Watchers. It was mostly about Lysandra and her 2 sisters. They're the 3 sisters, right? That's always talked about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll get to that in a while, so I don't really want to talk too much about that. But that's what that was about. It was about Lysandra. It really wasn't about...
Yeah, you really got nothing for Anivia in that one.
Yeah. So how do we feel about her bio before we move on?
It's the first time I've seen italics used in a bio for emphasis, not used for like a weird...
I love how you have a note about that.
I didn't like it. I really didn't like it because bios are so generally like they're so third party. Just this is what's going on. This is what happened for the most part. Mm-hmm. Even when they're telling you about legends, it's from an objective perspective. Having this weird emphasis where I think the line was, "Oh, if Anivia's been alive for millions of years, she must have seen countless civilizations." I know that. I get it. I don't need. It felt really weird and out of place. I don't know. That's so much that I made a note about it. I don't know. Aside from that, I think that she doesn't have, because she has so little lore, like Amumu, his bio kind of had some of the same things going on, but then we had a really strong story to cement how he exists in the minds of the people who live there, and Anivia lacks that.
Yeah, she's definitely missing that very vital component to help you actually connect with who she is.
Yeah, I agree. I think a good short story that would have been a nice follow-up is something maybe from Ash's point of view, her connecting with Anivia. That could have been really interesting. Or even Anivia's point of view, her meeting Ash. Because we do get at the end of her bio that she's returned. She exists. So Amumu is very much just a ghost story, and he has stayed that. And I think it works. But for Anivia, I don't know why they just didn't continue the bio beyond her returning. I think it would have been way more interesting.
Yeah. That would have been nice.
I don't know. It feels as though so much of Anivia is just about the Freljord and understanding the context of the three sisters, and just she's almost, gosh, I almost want to say she's just an accessory to Ash, and that she's just there to kind of help have Ash be very clearly a leader of this, the Avarosans, this tribe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's just a facilitator.
Yes.
Yeah, which I'd be okay with if they, I don't know, just gave it a little bit more meat somehow, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I think another weird thing about it is that, I mean, there are 2 points in, like, Anivia's bio is short, but it still has 2 points in it that are immediately contradicted in the other short story that they provide us that she's a part of.
Yeah, so the other short story is called The Lost Tales of Orn. It was written by Matt Dunn. It is, as you could guess by the title, about Orn, mostly. Orn is Anivia's brother, apparently. Yeah, so we get a little paragraph of him interacting with her, and that's the only time she's in it. I actually didn't even read the rest of the short story, because I'm like, we're not doing Orn this week.
I skimmed to see if she showed up again, but she obviously doesn't.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah.
So in Anivia's bio, it is said that the legend about the snow in the Freljord is that when she was born from her, egg, basically her ice egg, the pieces of the egg flew into the sky and they rain down snow to this day. In the Orange short story, we get a different history of the snow in the Freljord, much more kind of convoluted, but basically just Orn was trying to build his home in a mountain and have a forge there. It was too hot, so he dug a trench that led to the water, which caused a bunch of steam, and the steam going into the sky, cooling, caused snow, and that's why it snows there. Another kind of piece is that they very specifically said in Anivia's bio that true ice doesn't melt. That was kind of its big thing, just unmelting ice. And another thing they say in the Orange story that she's a part of is that a troll king played a trick on Orn by basically challenging him to a competition to see who could drink a cask of alcohol the fastest. And when Orn wasn't looking, he slipped a shard of true ice into Orn's. And so when Orn was drinking, the true ice was constantly melting and refilling the jar of alcohol so he could never get through it.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
What? I can maybe get past the snow thing, because in Anivia's bio it sounds like that's a myth people came up with about how snow exists, and things like that become legend and aren't necessarily true. And in Oran's story, it's like maybe we're seeing how snow really was created, but the true ice doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, true ice is a pretty rare thing. I think most people who would tell these stories, including, because this is all being told from the perspective of a young woman, right, who's a member of a tribe. She probably never interacted with true ice. She probably has only ever been told this story about Orn, and it melts. So as far as she and everyone who kind of roams with her probably knows, yeah, true ice melts. Remember that time Orn, and whereas, it's interesting because you didn't read the Orn story, but at the very end they mention this idea of this group of people, this tribe called the Hearthblood, which the speaker is, which were this group of people that Orn gathered up and protected and kind of fostered. So the way I kind of read this, it's interesting you bring up all the contradictions, because I would say they're intentional, and it's to kind of show this idea of how these legends are different between these various tribes, even ones that aren't necessarily opposed, like the Hearthblood and their descendants, and whoever it is that, I guess maybe the Avarosa, you might say, maybe the descendants of those idiots who wandered up into the Freljord that Anivia saved. And so they just kind of have created these offshoots, and the contradictions are just there to kind of highlight that, because that's what the Freljord's all about, is tribal conflict and war. and just people constantly being at odds with each other in that way.
No, that makes sense.
Does that seem reasonable?
I can get behind that. I would still like some answers, but
Yeah, I agree.
but I suppose
It'll do. You know what? I shouldn't be writing it for him. I should not be sitting here filling these blanks in for him.
They're nodding, taking notes. Yeah, he's right.
it's what we planned all along, just like the writers of Lost.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I liked this little visual in my head of Anivia because the thing is that, or did you talk about like where specifically
we haven't
she
talked
gets
about that yet.
Yeah.
What?
Why don't you go through that real quick?
Her actual like part in Orange.
Yeah, we've just been talking about Orange.
Oh, yeah.
So, her part in Orin's lore was that Orin built a giant palace for himself, as large as I think it said like two whole like valleys, and in doing so, he built it out of wood, and he had accidentally, I guess, chopped down Anivia's favorite nesting tree in order to build it. So she was not happy about that. So she's like, I'm gonna prank this dude real good. So she flew into his window while he was sleeping and then tickled his nose with one of her feathers, which caused him to sneeze. But, you know, he sneezes fire because he's got a bellows in his belly. So he sneezed fire, which caused his house to catch on fire. And
Great prank, Anivia.
yeah, it was a good one. Then she tried to help put it out by like beating her wings, but that just fanned the flames and made it go up even faster. So that's you, Anivia.
Yeah.
Good job, Anivia. I guess she is a little sister, yeah?
I don't know.
I don't know which
does
is
it say
older.
little?
I think the
Yeah.
first line in Orin's story, that story is that he's the oldest of his siblings.
Oh.
Oh, does it? Oh,
I thought so.
interesting.
He did apparently create the Freljord by just beating it
Fighting
up.
the air. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did beat it up.
Yeah.
Interesting story. Can't wait to get to Orin.
Right? Orin is so much like it's. I mean, it's to be fair. We said it at the very start. She was released in 2009. Man, like
Oh, Anivia?
Orin is a much newer Anivia. Yeah, Orin, much newer champion. He's the same core idea, really, but just he's got more love and more attention paid to him, and it sells much better.
Wasn't he one of
I would
Greg's champions from player support? I'm pretty sure that was one of his concepts.
I don't know. That's interesting. So, I liked the image I had in my head of Anivia in almost like SpongeBob getting paint on Mr. Krabs' first dollar, just making the situation worse and worse and worse in a very slapstick, almost absurdist comedy. Like she cools it all down and turns around and it's just the ice is on fire or just some crazy shit. Obviously, that's not what's here, but because she's so dignified.
I do like the idea that Anivia is like the SpongeBob of the Freljord.
Which definitely is like counter to what is in her bio for sure, but I think the little video they had like of her for the trailer for God, what skin was it? Was it the Mardi Gras skin?
Festival Queen. Yeah.
Festival Queen. That the little short video that she's in with that, like that's the vibe I got from that for sure.
Yeah. I love that. I love anything that has the minions doing cute things.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that.
She like flies in and then beats her wings, and then all the minions turned into like the festival minions, and then she makes them all dance and then flies away, and then the minions are cute and it makes little boppy noises when they hit each other.
Cute.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Well, yeah, not too much about Anivia in that. Did y'all look at all into anything with Nunu? Because she does get a mention, a little bit of meat in Nunu's bio, I think it is, or it could be his story. It's called Frozen Hearts by David Slagle.
Yeah, I did look a little bit into that. Did you wanna give the? I didn't actually take any notes on that one though.
Yeah, it's not much. So Nunu is from a tribe called the Notai, Notai, the Notai tribe. They don't wear ties, but they are mentioned in Anivia's lore or bio as being like one of those tribes who was telling one. I think they told the story about how she created snow. So there's a link there, and it's essentially the bit about Anivia is a conversation between Nunu and his mother, and she's talking about kind of what Anivia represents for that tribe, and it seems like she's almost like a patron of that tribe very specifically, and that they're like wandering merchants and entertainers, very bards in that traditional sense. And they see Anivia as having almost tasked them with going forth and bringing joy and pursuing their passions and having this level of freedom that you might associate with a bird. That's about it. Like I got 3 notes here, and that's all of them. But it's, at the very least, it's like the tiniest spark of, okay, you can see how someone who is a regular person sees Anivia in a way that's not just she's a big god that I should be fearful of, right?
Yeah.
Her VO sounds really weird compared to what she is, right? Because she just sounds like a lady.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Reverb lady?
Not even. No. That's why I was listening to.
Oh, I would have to listen to it.
What, her audio?
Yeah, her lines. Her Black Frost one and her Cosmic one have some reverb, I think.
Yeah, no, I
thought
think
they
she just
sounded
sounds
better.
she just sounds like a lady.
Yeah.
I remember.
It just reads very strange.
She's the first champion that we're getting so far that I regularly play. Just exciting.
Yeah, I like the change in VO between the Black Frost and the regular one. She gets way more vengeful god in the Black
Real
Frost
aggro.
version.
Oh.
Yeah. Black Frost is an interesting little skin line where it's the idea that Lysandra's won, right? That all of the Freljord is being, speaking of being corrupted, all of it's being corrupted by the void and whatnot. Is that the basic idea of it?
I actually didn't know, but that sounds right.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that is. Because that's what all of her VO
That's very
kind of references.
Lysandra.
Yeah.
Meaning
Girl.
in every snowflake.
Yeah, it's Anivia. She just sounds like a lady.
Think beyond
Yeah,
one
it's-
lifetime.
Do they have Black Frost in there?
Yeah.
Oh, they got them all.
The cycle ends here.
I think I only play Black Frost, and I just assumed
Sorry.
that was her base VO.
I got a text at the same time, and my text is a Heimerdinger sound, so that was a great mix of...
The abyss speaks through me.
Yeah.
It's very Protoss from StarCraft.
Yeah, it is. Should we talk about the Freljord at all? This is our first one from there.
That's
I
true.
think so. Yeah, because we're going to be getting to it pretty soon.
Yeah, really
and
soon with Ash.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to
I
have a
think
lot more
Ash
to
is
talk
gonna-
about with Ash.
Yeah, she's going to have a lot more of her own lore that
Yeah.
we probably won't have the
That's
time to
true.
dig into
So,
the Freljord.
so someone educate me on the Freljord?
Close enough. Well, can I ask, because
Freljord?
I think that's pretty good. Well, can I ask, what do you know of it, having read through Anivia's lore and some of those other stories? Like,
It's cold there,
yeah. Yeah,
and
I mean, that's true.
Ash is there. That's all I got.
You're 2 for 2.
Howling Abyss. I remember Braum.
Yeah,
And the
I was
Poros.
curious if you would dig at all into this, because the Howling Abyss is so central to the Freljord, and
That's true,
we
maybe I
we
should
play there constantly. It's
Yeah,
fine.
we
you know.
live on the abyss of Howling. So you said that there was a lot of tribes. That's kind of what they're about, and they're a lot of infighting. Is that what their deal is?
Yeah. A lot of separation into tribes, even before Ash Sejuani and Lysandra,
Do they all kind of lead their own?
the olden day sisters were Avarosa, Cyrilda, and also Lysandra.
Sandra.
Also,
yeah.
Sandra.
But yeah, so they had a big war up there that
Of course.
threatened to shatter everything, and
And that was between Lysandra and the other two?
Yeah.
Okay.
that is what said caused the near constant winter of the Freljord.
Oh, really? That warring? Oh, is that in Anivia's bio where she talks about how the infighting and whatnot is?
That one's actually in
Weakening
the
things.
Freljord bio.
Okay. Yeah. I lost track of what was in the little Freljord blurb on the universe. Yeah, I mean, the big thing to know about the Freljord is the Watchers, I guess I would say. That's kind of the big to-do there. Does that ring any bells for you, Rebecca? Watchers? Does that strike any chords?
Only due to that one story, The Legend of the Frozen Watchers, which was on Anivia's page that had nothing to do with Anivia.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah. I mean, so Watchers are. I mean, they're like the big bad for Runeterra, right? Would you say, John? Does that line up?
Yeah.
These guys were they're Reapers, if you're familiar with Mass Effect at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a great analogy. Thank you. Okay.
It's exactly what they are.
They're the reason that Lysandra has a lot of the power that she does, kind of by making deals with them in the first place, which, come with the same twisted price that you would expect by making deals with anyone that's capable of giving you power.
So the Watchers, are they like demons, gods? What kind of...
They are void entities, but they are a class above anything that like we see in game. They are described as ruling over every other void being. So these are, I guess they're probably the closest thing to a god.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're like the gods of the void.
Yeah.
Now, is it canon that Rise has fought one of them?
I would assume so. And you're talking, I think that Rise to Power or Call to Power cinematic, I think that is indeed a Watcher. I would probably need to double check. It's strange. So the thing about Watchers, and going back to Bale Striders from way back at the start of this conversation, is the reason the Bale Striders look like the shit on the Howling Abyss is that the Bale Striders use the original Watcher concepts. And so a lot of the things that were Watchers at one point are now Bale Striders or depictions of them. Like, do you remember a constellation, John, that they showed at one point that was a Watcher constellation? Does that sound at all familiar? I don't remember the context. Yeah. Well, that's a Bale Strider constellation now. Don't get it twisted. It seems like it's a Watcher, but it's not. But yeah.
Yeah, there have been a few iterations, I think, of what they wanted to do with Watchers and then kind of changed their mind on, too. Because I remember at some point, Vel'Koz was going to be one of the first Watchers, and then they kind of
with his big eye
pivoted on that one.
Yeah, right. The thing about it is that they do have big-ass eyes, the Watchers that we see depicted. So he's kind of looks like one, I guess.
So there are visual depictions of Watchers that they've settled on?
It's really vague because, so I guess we should get into the facts, right? The facts are that way in ancient Freljord, this is probably one of the oldest stories in Runeterra. You got the three sisters. You mentioned them before, Serilda, Avarosa, Lysandra. Now, they all worked for the Watchers. Now, the Watchers kind of exerted influence from the Void. They weren't in weren't in the Runeterran universe yet, but just even with how powerful they were just kind of influencing them and trying to get them to create an empire to conquer and prepare the world for them to come in and destroy it. Eventually led into that big war between Serilda and Avarosa versus Lysandra, and at the climax, the Watchers show up. And they actually, in that Frozen Watcher's Tale, I did like how they described the Watchers coming into reality and kind of forcing themselves to adapt to this. It's an entirely different universe. And I think they did talk about linearity and just all sorts of things that kind of give you enough rope to let your imagination run wild. Yeah. But so in that climax kind of happening, Lysandra sees what's going on and says, "Oh fuck, I've backed to the wrong fucking horse," because she realizes that they're going to destroy everything. And she casts this magic spell into the Howling Abyss bridge that seals the Watchers and True Eyes down at the bottom of the abyss, but also causes the bridge to not be permanent anymore and will eventually, at some random time when they need it, finally break and the Watchers will come out. It's a wonderful ticking clock. Jesus Christ. It is a wonderful ticking clock for them to have where there's no hard deadline. Man.
I'll cut all that. Don't worry. You're going to sound real good.
Perfect. Yeah, because I sound so clear normally. But yeah, so that's the big deal with the Watchers, is that they exist in the universe and they're frozen down at the abyss, and Lysandra and the Frostguard kind of keep a vigil. So there are a few art shots that show the Watchers, or at least like very, very, very vague depictions of them, and most of the time it's just a massive eyeball. Very similar to like a really big Vel'Koz, and similar to that Rise cinematic. So I think that is a Watcher. But
so Freljord now has 3 new sisters. Is that the thing? Ash, Sejuani, and who was the third one?
Oh, it's still Lysandra.
Oh!
She's still chilling.
Okay, so they're not actually sisters.
No, and Ash and
Sejuani
aren't technically really sisters either.
Okay.
They're just what is it called? Battle sisters, I think it's called.
Frenemies?
They made a vow. They grew up together and made a vow to be, I think it was called Battle Sisters, but
Sure.
Like adopted sisters, probably, right?
Yeah.
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 But
yeah, so
they disagree.
Yeah, they disagree on methods. Ash is very much like, we should protect the weak, and Sejuani is very much, if the weak can't protect themselves, they don't deserve to live.
So it's Cobra Kai. We're watching Cobra Kai right now. It's literally just Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do.
yeah,
Got it. But in ice.
But in ice.
but really fucking cold. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's...
Anything else about the Freljord?
I mean, that's mostly it. That's like the big context, is that that's where what will probably be the eventual final boss of Runeterra, if it ever comes. It'll never happen, because why would, what the fuck do you do after that? But that's where it sits, I think that's it.
We Anivia'd.
We
Could be a
Anivia
shorter episode. It's okay.
so goddamn hard.
Yeah. I like the word Cryophoenix. That was the first note I wrote, was Cryophoenix is a neat word.
Maybe
so
the
I
best
like
part
that.
of her lore.
It might be, honestly.
Harsh. So do we hope that they add more to Anivia's story? I'd like to see what she does with Ash, personally.
Yeah, I'd just like to see a story about Anivia.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of is the idea of Anivia coming back is foreshadowing the idea that the Watchers, it's their time to break free now. I don't know if Riot will ever tell that story. Like you said, it's hard to know what to do after that, but...
Yeah, and it's an interesting bit, too, when you actually go play ARAMs on the Howling Abyss. Like, the bridge is falling apart the whole time that you're playing on it, which is neat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we gotta be close.
I wonder if they're going to tie it to some kind of release or some giant event. I assume they will.
Probably. We haven't had a Void event.
That's
That would be
true,
so
and
dope.
Voidlings are
Oh my
favorite.
god. Unleash the
Yeah.
Watchers, Riot. Oh man, what if it was like...
Unleash the Watchers!
What if it was like, if you played games, you could sign... You remember because you remember when they did the small Freljord event? This was like one of the first times they did a lore region event, and you could pick one of the tribes, and depending on like how many players like won with the summoner icon, it would like, ooh, this tribe won. Not that it had any effect on the lore, but imagine if you did that shit and you could like pick a side for the Watchers or not the Watchers. I don't know, some shit like that, something.
Yeah. And that's when Howling Abyss got added to the game. When they changed the tutorial map to an actual playable map.
An actual factual map-tual.
It's hard to remember ARAM before it now,
Well, it is weird to think about it in the context of this used to just, like, people would just go make custom games. It's so interesting. And it was just a code of honor where it's like,
You
I
better
want to go
not go into the
jungle.
jungle. God damn it.
All right, that's it. Fuck it. Go get Baron right now.
Did you
Fuck
heal?
these guys.
Fuck. No healing.
All right, I think we're good. Yeah? We good?
Yeah.
Yep, this egg is cooked.
Hey.
Oh, were you waiting on that one, Mark, or did you just think...
No,
that
I
your
should have said
second
goose
note?
because she's a bird, actually.
All right, that's Anivia. Thank you for listening. Very exciting stuff. Burb.
This egg is scrambled. That's what I should have said. Sorry.
Quick, edit it. That'll be the first thing you said.
So join us next week when we get to talk about the Dark Child, Annie.